I talk with a lot of anxious women, and more often than not, what I hear is how overwhelmed they feel. They know that their schedules are too full, they know their brains are too full, but they have no idea what to do about it or what's causing it. Trying to balance work and home responsibilities, keep everything running smoothly and everybody happy, then to do it perfectly is emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausting. So I created a short 5-question quiz to help you get to the bottom of why you feel so overwhelmed and to give you some solutions to help you feel less stressed and anxious and more confident. Because when you know what you're doing that's causing you to stress, you can swap habits to create more space for yourself to rest and relax. Resting and relaxing makes it easier to think clearly, to work efficiently, and to still have time for yourself to go do the stuff you've been wanting to do. And wouldn't it feel amazing to be confident, to feel calm, and to be able to go have fun again? I mean, I think so. You can take that quiz using the link in the podcast show notes and have a very first step forward out of overwhelm in less than 5 minutes. Welcome to the More Than Anxiety podcast. I'm Megan DeVito, and I help ambitious women break out of the anxiety cycle that keeps them frustrated and stuck. Get ready for a lighthearted approach that will change what you think, how you feel, and what you believe about yourself. This podcast is full of simple steps, a lot of truth talk, and inspiration to take action so you walk away feeling confident, calm, and ready to live. Let's get to it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 121 of the More Than Anxiety podcast. I'm super excited that you are here today. You get to meet Lissa Figgins. So this is a big deal. I am not even going to try to introduce her. I love it when people introduce themselves because it's natural for them and they do such a better job of telling everybody what we do. So Lissa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. I love us curly girls. Got to hang out together.
Yes, absolutely.
It's fun. We just found out we're both in the Midwest, which is really fun. And I have a lot of ties to where you live. So I love how like paths cross even when we're virtual and things like this.
Yeah.
But I'm Lissa Figgins. It's Melissa without the
I'm
M-E.
sorry.
Fine, because it's not about me. That's how I say it. And I am an time management strategist for busy women. Who in the planet is not feeling busy, especially this time of year, right? Or
Yes,
any time of year. It doesn't just have to be the holidays or a season of everybody else busy. I think that it's become the norm, right? That life is just always busy, busy, busy. And we wear it like this badge of honor. And then we're trying to like keep up with it all. And it's exhausting. And that's really why my heart is to help women to turn time management on its head. Because I believe that we are fed the lie that if we could just be better at managing our time, then it would fix all of our time problems, right? It would fix our anxiety around our time and all of that. That's part of my story. But the reality is our busyness is not just a disordered calendar. It's a disordered heart. So it goes way deeper than I just got a pretty planner. And I do have an amazing new one that I just published. We'll talk about that later. But like it goes way deeper than I've got these great time blocks and I've got an organized to-do list and I've got alarms and reminders and things like that set on my phone. Because it's really going down to what am I prioritizing? Where am I spending my time? What matters? I think we give a lot of our time away to lesser things. And then we run around like a chicken with our head cut off saying, I don't have enough time. And now I'm stressed and anxious and worried about there not being enough. Right?
Yeah. I love how you just like go straight for it too.
Right?
Like, look, this is not a time management problem. This is a heart problem. And I'm like, whoa, we're going to go deep on this one, you guys. This is going to be fun. So tell me, so let's just start there. Tell me what you mean by a heart problem, because I think that that's a big deal. People are like, wait, no, everything's fine, but it's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know it's not, right? Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's anxious. Everybody's scrambling, especially at the holidays, which this episode's going to come out right probably between Christmas and New Year's. And we're still scrambling. Christmas is over. It's like that week of we're not sure what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But we're also going into that new year. So let's just knock out the new year.
Okay. So I love that you said this because the week between Christmas and New Year's is one of my favorite weeks of the year because like you said, like the Christmas rush is past. I think there's a Christmas song about that. But yeah, like, you know, like you can just sit there with your mug of hot cocoa or cider and put your feet up and you don't have a list to check of all the gifts. You don't have all this hosting to do. You don't have whatever. If you do work, you may still be off work or kids are off school schedules. And so it kind of just is this like, and I think we get in there and we're like, okay, if only life could be like this. But we all know reality of next Monday or whenever it is that we have to go back to those routines and, be slaves to our clocks and calendars is beyond us. And so anyway, what my point is, I think so often we think once X happens, then I'll have more time. So once the holidays are over, then I'll have more time. Yeah. Once this project is done, then I'll have more time. Once my kids grow up or start driving or move out of the house, then I'll have more time. I'm here to tell you that is a lie. Like, I am a straight shooter because I'm like, we don't have time, pun intended, to like beat around the bush. Right. Here's the reality. Like, again, every single one of us, every person listening to this right now, God gave you 24 hours yesterday. He gave you 24 hours today, and he will give you 24 hours tomorrow, right? Like, that has not changed since the creation of the world. And right. So number one, it is a lie that you don't have time or that you are going to have more time when X happens. Right. Right. But I think the lie we believe, so I'm a midlife woman, and I specifically love talking to women in midlife because I feel like there's so much out there for those busy moms who are like, wrangling the kids, and they're taxi moms, and they've got to like show up to the parties and like volunteer and like, put together the costumes and all of that. Been there, done that. Don't want to go back, but it was amazing when I was there. Right. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like this like midlife season, whether you still have kids under your roof or whether they've all moved out, mine, all three have already moved out. I have one in college. So she's technically, comes back, for holidays, but the other two are out on their own doing big kid things, adult things, starting families. Your time does not magically all of a sudden just like appear and feel amazing, because number one, it was a lot easier to contain your time when your kids were all under your roof. Let's be honest, then mine are literally spread from East Coast to West Coast, and we are here in the Midwest. And they're now multiplying, right, with marriages and kids and, so grandkids and stuff. So my time is now spread in so many more directions. Plus, my mind is always thinking about them, right? But the other thing I think that happens is over time, we take on more. So while you may not be playing taxi mom anymore in this season of life, you've taken on other roles. You've taken on other things you're caring for, aging parents, your own health and wellness, your leadership positions, your career that now you're really advancing in, your, business that you're really wanting to grow. Like, so I think we need to just not believe the lie that we don't have time, because you do. You got 24 hours. And number two, I think we need to stop saying, I'll have time when, because it isn't going to change anything. And here's where it comes down to the hard thing, right? Because logistically, we do have time. We always have, we always will, right? But the problem is we give our time away to a lot of lesser things. You want to know what someone truly loves and values? There are two places you can look. Do you know what they are?
My first guess would be their screen time on their phone.
Okay, that's a big one.
Like, where's your screen time?
Yeah. So the two general categories, and that would fit under one of them, is your calendar and your bank account. Where you are spending your resources is a reflection of what you value. But here's the problem. We pay attention to where our money is going, hopefully.
Right. I would hope so. Yeah.
Right. If we make a purchase that we're like, oh, shoot, I probably shouldn't have bought that, we can return it and hopefully get all or most of it back. Right. Good Friday or Black Friday that we just came through, and like all the deals that were, in our face for like a month. But when it comes to our time, once it's spent, it is spent. And I love the fact that you brought up the phone, because I always say this is your reality check. If you ever start saying, I don't have time, you open this thing up, you go to your screen time and you look at that number, and that number is staring you in the face, because that is time that you have given away to this thing. Now, yes, a fraction of that may have been for good purposes. This morning I was messaging with two of my kids who are, again, not at home. And I was taking care of some things to get ready for this and whatever, right? The average person, listen to this, spends 4 hours and 35 minutes a day on their phone. That's one screen. Okay. I was a math teacher, so I got really curious. What is that over a year? I know you're a teacher too. You have a teacher background, right?
Yeah.
That adds up to, ready for this, 70 days a year, like not taking 24-hour periods. And that's average, which means some people are double that.
Oh, I think easily, because I think 4 hours is accidentally picking up your phone and being like, oh, I wonder what happened here. Who do I need to check in with?
Totally. Yeah,
but when you get stuck in Instagram Reels or on TikTok or something, and you're like, whoa, what happened?
or even online shopping or
anything,
whatever it is, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And it's not that there's no value. I was just joking with my daughter who I was messaging this morning because on Black Friday, we went shopping to the mall. Now, we did not intentionally go on Black Friday. It just happened to be that with the time she was home, it was literally the only day we could go.
God
so it took
you.
a lot of extra time to be there. And we really came out with very little. Saturday, that next day, we sat on the couch. We online shopped for everything else she needed. Found it all. I just messaged her. I'm like, we tried on like 20, 30 pairs of jeans, like at the mall. And guess what? The ones she ordered online fit, the shorts she ordered online. I'm like, this was a much more productive and, not that I didn't love the time with her in the mall, but yeah. So all that to say, yeah, you do have time, right? Look at where you're spending it because we all say this, time is precious with this like smile on our face, but are we really treating it like that? Or are we willingly or unknowingly giving it away to all these lesser things? And there are big companies that have giant budgets to grab your time and attention. If they can keep you on their page, if they can keep you clicking on their reel, if they can get you to, go to follow the next rabbit trail thing, they're eventually going to get you to give them your money. But time and attention is the number one commodity that they are all after. And so we have to be discerning. We have to really be intentional. And everything I do around Redeem Her Time actually comes from what the Bible teaches about time. And there's a verse, and this is really when the light bulbs turned on for me. And then I'd love to share my story.
Please, yes.
This verse in Ephesians 5 says, look carefully how you live. There is attention. I have to be on my, I have to be watching, because if I don't fill my time with something intentionally, someone or something else will fill it for me.
Yeah.
There's never been a minute of your life that didn't go to something, right?
Right. That's true.
Yeah. And then we wonder why we end up where we don't want to be, right? Okay. So look carefully how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. So that tells me I have two choices: wise or unwise. Waste, spend, invest. There's a difference when you invest, you get something back. You can spend money on a cute pair of shoes, but they're probably going to sit in your closet except for the, a couple times a year you buy them, right? You can invest in like an investment and you're going to get something in return, right? You're going to increase what you put in. Same thing with our time. So look carefully how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time, which literally means make the best use of the opportunities. Because, and I love this version, these are difficult days. Amen to the fact that we live in a time where life is hard and it always feels like our time is not enough and our doing is not enough and we're not enough. It's a slippery slope that goes from one to the next. And then we wonder why we're stressed out, worn out, burned out, and always feeling like there's never enough. There's never enough time. There's never enough money. There's never enough of me, fill in the blank.
Yeah. I think it's really the thing that is rolling around in my brain from what you said is I think that, we look at time and I think about teenagers when they say, well, I stayed up late, but I'm going to catch up on sleep. And I'm like, that's impossible. You don't catch up on sleep. Like your body will catch up. I mean, you will, but you don't actually catch up time because you're right. Like we can get our money back, right? We can go out, we can make more money. We can, pick up another job, return things to the store. We can get our money back. But once time's gone, that's it. So to all of my friends who are listening to this, who tend to be a little anxious, a little bit stressed out, if that pinged you a little bit, just take that as one of those notifications where anxiety is just telling you to, hey, pay attention. If you notice that feeling in your body right now where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, how did I spend my time? That's okay. That's okay. That's really important place to be able to stop and say, this was a check that I needed. Your body responded. Perfect. Let's go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So first I want to say this. This is the work that most people don't and won't do. And that is to notice, to do exactly what you just pointed out. Like you feel this feeling, notice it, pay attention to it, and then make a life decision. Okay. So here's my story. Segue, right?
Great.
I was a poster child for time management. I had all the planners. I've had a planner since I was like in grade school. Like, yeah, that's not a problem.
They give them to you at school now. Like, here's this lovely planner. And the kids are like, what am I supposed to do with it?
What do I do with this? Right. Yeah. I got my phone, somebody just told me on my phone what to do. There's a whole thing about like the difference between writing in your own handwriting and being able to see it on paper versus scrolling on your phone. For those of you who are like, I have a Google Calendar. Great. But you also need a planner. Anyway, so I was the poster child for time management and organization and doing. I'm a 1 on the Enneagram, which is very much like I want to perfect things and do it right and do it well. And it's always a better way to do it. And, so I just became this doer, and I took that right into my teaching career. I took that right into motherhood. My husband then was in the military. He would deploy for up to a year at a time. So I was solo parent, solo homeschooling mom, solo ministry leader, solo business owner, solo running a house, right? And yeah, there was never enough. There's never enough time. There's never enough of me. I was always stressed, but I just, in true Lissa fashion, this is what you do. You just push through and you make it work, right? So I ignored the signs. So one of the signs that came up was the guilt, I feel like I'm not being the wife I should be, or the mom I should be, or the ministry leader, or the business owner. And it was just kind of I don't have time to do this any better. I'm doing the best I can, push it away. Right. But then what started happening to my body started telling me stuff. So it started, like you said, that pit in my stomach, that always feeling that angst, the tightness in my shoulders and my neck. It was hard 24/7. I was always tense because I was carrying so much here. And then I started feeling a ball in my throat.
Yep.
And here's when it got interesting, because at first I ignored it. Who has time to deal with this? Then I thought, maybe I just need to slow down my eating and drink more water. That would be a quick, easy fix.
Well, there you go.
Like that, right? Guess what?
Didn't work, actually. Yeah.
Didn't work. And I, again, promptly just dismissed it because I didn't have time to figure out what was going on until I realized it had been over a year. And I woke up one day going, this has been happening for a really long time. I wonder if there's something growing in there that is going to cost me a lot of time and anxiety and money and whatever. So I promised my besties I would go get it checked out. I went to see a specialist. He tried some medication. He tried lifestyle changes. And then he finally's like, okay, I don't know why nothing is working. Let's take a look. And so he's like, I'm going to, do a scope and we're going to see what's going on. So I vividly remember walking into his office for that follow-up appointment after they put a camera down my throat. He sits me down. He's really, I don't know, this little short picture, your typical doctor, has a lot of brain knowledge, but not a lot of bedside manner of connecting with people. But he thought he was funny. Okay. So he sits me down and he's like, hey, Lissa, there is not a ball in your throat. I have put a camera down there. I've looked. It's not there, but you think it's there and you feel it because you have hystericus globus. And then he just sat there with a smirk on his face.
Of course you do have hysterical globus or whatever it was.
Hystericus globus. And he's like, okay, globus, globe, like a ball. You have this feeling of a ball. And you're going to love this part. He goes, hystericus. And he starts going like this, right? Swirling his finger like you're crazy. And he thought this would make me feel better. He goes, that's where they get the word hysterectomy from, because they thought women were going crazy in midlife. He's like, it's all in your head. You have anxiety. And here's where I want to be really sensitive in how I talk to your audience, because I know this is something that you address. So in that moment, I just want you guys to hear my story. Okay. In that moment, he said, I'm happy to prescribe you a pill. I am not against medication for mental health things. My husband has medication he takes for mental health. So I don't want anyone to hear this in any way, shape, or form that there is any shame or judgment. But I knew for me that a pill was not going to fix the real problem, because I might feel better. I might mask my anxiety around my time and all of my doing, but it wasn't literally going to change anything. And my body was still going to be on overdrive all the time. And so I wish I could say that everything changed in an instant. It didn't, but it started changing in that moment. And I started realizing I can't keep living life like this, or I'm not going to be any good to anybody. And so it was this progression. And fairly shortly afterwards, my dad sent me a book on Amazon called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And he put this little note in that said, I hope I didn't just offend you. And it couldn't have been more perfectly timed, because it was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was exactly what slowed me down to realize that my time issues, my time anxiety, my busyness was not just a disordered calendar. It was a disordered heart. I was chasing after me being enough and doing all these things good enough, because I was that one on the Enneagram, right? And it was going to be this constant, never-ending battle if I kept going down that path. And so that's when God got a hold of my heart and started showing me how to slow down, how to let go of those obligations I felt all the time, how to be able to let go of the expectations I was feeling impressed upon me from other people, how to discern, when interruptions and distractions come, is this something I'm supposed to give time and attention to or not? Like, it's a work, right? And so this is why I love having these conversations, because I think we think the quick fix is the planner, or the quick fix is, this new time blocking method, or fill in the blank. And I teach those things, and I have a planner that you put things in, but if and until you change the way you approach time, nothing's really going to change about your time. Definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Not going to happen. You're still going to be anxious and worried and stressed.
Yeah.
So, So anyway, that's my story, right? And then it's led me to coming up with these 3 shifts around our time that, before you even get into a calendar, make all the difference. But I want to give you a space if there's anything from the story part that you want to respond to.
I love everything you just said. First of all, from the very beginning, when you said yes, medicine, like I've talked openly about the fact that I took medication for 20 years, and I felt a little better, but I was still chronically anxious and had no idea what to do with it. So I think the fact that, yes, always I talk about this very openly. My story is out there. I've told it a million times, but how, when push comes to shove, it's going to numb it out a little bit for you, and you might feel a lot better. But unless you're doing that inner work and really getting to what it is that you're thinking that is causing you to keep going. And certainly, even if we go back to the idea of being hysterical and having a hysterectomy, which I did not know, but that kind of makes me angry, just as a woman. But I'm like, wait a minute. But it is real that when you are in that phase of life, if you are in perimenopause or menopause and you notice that you have feelings of anxiousness in your body, that's a chemical reaction, and it does feel real. And when you feel that feeling, you're not thinking clearly. So having the tools to be able to say, this is actually what I'm feeling right now, and to be able to say, okay, because what do I think's happening? What do I think I need to fix? Because whether it starts with the way your body feels, that causes your brain to go into an overthinking mode where it's trying to solve problems by creating problems, or whether it starts with a situation that you have thoughts about that makes you feel anxious. Either way, you get stuck in that place where I'm thinking more and then I'm feeling more anxious, and then I'm thinking more and then I'm feeling more anxious, until we've just created a giant whirlpool full of problems. So you have solutions for this, because it does come back to a heart problem and what it is that you're thinking about.
Yeah, which is the first shift, is what you're believing around your time. We've kind of already touched on this.
Yeah, right.
Every time you have some version of, there's not enough time, I don't have time, I'll have time when, if only I had time, like fill in the blank. I want you to take that thought captive, because like you just said, that thought leads to certain feelings, leads to certain action, which leads to certain results, right? So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right. And with the thoughts we think are on repeat. They say 95% of our thoughts we're thinking over and over again. So it starts getting ingrained, and it just becomes our new normal, and it becomes fact versus.
And they feel very true.
Yeah.
Our thoughts feel very, especially if you're anxious and you notice that you're feeling, it feels very necessary and very true. And that really, I think, is a hard hurdle for so many people who I talk with. But I think it feels really important. Whether I'm talking,
for example, someone saying I have a role as a mom, a wife, and a career. Okay. Now, that is a fact, but keep it neutral. That is a neutral fact. You have multiple 3 roles that we just listed, right? And chances are you've got 10 more, right? So that's probably not it. But the next level, what you're believing about it and what you're thinking on repeat about it, is now what's going to lead right in those other directions. So it can be, but because I have all these roles, I don't have time to do them all well. And I am dropping balls all over the place, right? Because that's how I'm feeling, versus, okay, these are things that God has called me to. I know that this is part of the season of life that I'm in, and I can, I'm looking at this as a gift rather than a limitation, right? So now start playing those out and see which one's going to take you in the right direction. So whenever you're thinking, I don't have time, or some version of it, I want you to grab it, and I want you to hear this sentence very punctually and slowly, because I do this in all caps with periods. And here it is. You have time. I have people tell me they hear me in their head, because I end every one of my podcasts with that. It's on the sign behind me every time you see me on camera. It's in the planner. It's everywhere. We need this reminder, you have time. Okay. So that's the first one, shifting your belief. The second one is shifting your role, because we are told that we just need to get better at managing our time. We're to be managers of our time. So I was a math teacher. I was also an English teacher. So that part of my brain goes, let's define some terms. Manage literally means to exert control over and keep contained. Isn't that how it feels around our time? We are always trying to keep it from getting away from us. We're chasing it like this limited resource that if I don't get under control, someone's going to take it away from me, or it's going to go through my fingers, or I'm going to not have enough and I'm going to lose it. Think about the manager at a fast food restaurant. If you watch them behind that counter, they are running around trying to keep everybody and everything right in their place, keep everything under control. And how do they feel at the end of their shift?
They're just spent. Yeah.
It's how you feel at the end of the day when you drop in bed and you're like, what did I even do today? Right? I tried to keep everything under control, and how fruitless was that? Because you can't. So first of all, time management, I believe, is a myth. I don't even believe that it's possible. It's an illusion. Just when you think you get all your ducks in a row, guess what? Something or someone happens and they're not. So stop trying to chase.
You can only manage what's in your control. Everything else that's happening to you, you can't manage that. You have to block out time for catastrophes that are flying in, like your radiator breaks. You get a flat tire. You can't manage that.
Yeah. Or just, I'm so easily distracted by all the shiny objects that are coming in from my device or the people around me or whatever. And very much it's like a game of whack-a-mole all day long that you're never going to win. You're just trying to,
Right.
So I don't believe that we're called to manage our time.
I love that.
Okay.
That's a totally different shift. That's so important.
Let go of that expectation, permission to stop managing your time.
Yeah.
And which I know is what? Okay. But here's the alternative. Here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to steward our time. A steward is someone who takes what's been entrusted to them and invests it in order to increase the increase the results, right? So we went on a trip a couple of months ago. My husband rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. I know it sounds really crazy. It took him 42 days. They rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. I know, it's a whole thing. They actually do it for mental health and suicide prevention for veterans. So
that's amazing. I love it.
That's a whole other story. I can tell you that story another day. Yes. Anyway, long story short, we, as the family members, got to go meet them in Antigua. They started in the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. I'm like, I'll see you in Antigua, baby. So we get down there the day ahead of them, and we are on this little van shuttle from the airport or whatever, like an hour drive or whatever. We start going up this hill. I mean, talk about giant harbors next to us. Jeff Bezos' boat was in that harbor the day before. That's the size boats that would be
right now.
Yeah, crazy. And so we get up to the top of this hill, and there's this beautiful blue-green gate. And this gate opens, and we just see this sprawling property that we are going to get to use for the next week. It literally was up on a point. It used to be a military lookout because of this location that you could see not only the harbor that was on that side I told you about, but then the whole open ocean out in front. Stunning. There's this beautiful guest house, big house. There's another guest house. There's a pool. There's gardens. There's this view, this huge wraparound porch. We're yes. And then there's these amazing little people who live in this little house right off to the side on the property. And they come over and they're welcoming us and showing us around and taking it and as I watched them, they kept coming in. Hey, can we do your dishes for you? Can we do any laundry for you? Whatever. Yeah. And it suddenly hit me. They don't own this place. The owner of this property actually lives back in the US and only comes a couple times a year, right? They are there as stewards, as caretakers of this guy's property. And he had entrusted this into their hands. And so they are taking care of it with a sense of, this doesn't belong to me. This isn't all about me. I get to enjoy this. Hello, what a view to wake up to every day.
Sign me up. I'm a work there.
I know, right? If they ever vacate that thing, I'll be I'll live in the little house, right?
Great. I don't care.
Their role was to steward this asset that belonged to someone else.
Wow.
Well, the way that I teach about time is that our time didn't just randomly happen. I believe it is a divine gift. I believe God is giving us this gift of time. And it is not all about us, and we can't do anything about it. I can't make more time, like you said, with money, right? I can't be I'm going to make some more, or how about this? I'm not going to use all my time today, so that way I can save it up so I can have it for a rainy day, or I promise not to use all 24 hours tomorrow. Can I have some of that today? Nope, 24 hours each day, right? But there's a bigger purpose behind it. And, and so when we see ourselves as a steward, it's not taking ownership in that I'm trying to control it. there's a responsibility in this has been entrusted to me to build something bigger than me. Like, so I teach time stewardship. That's why I call myself an untime management strategist, because I don't think that managing time is fixing the problem or even what we're created to do, right? So I believe, should be stewards of it, right? Like if someone were to like, I don't know, like entrust some money into your hands, you could go hide it in your mattress and hope that none of your kids find it. Or you could go invest it and then be like, hey, look, I like grew back your investment. Like, here's an extra 30%. And they're going to be like, well done. Let me give you some more and you can steward some more. Like there's actually a parable that Jesus told called the parable of the servants, right? And this one servant went and hid it. He was afraid it was going to get away. He kept it under control, buried it in the ground. The other two, they invested it. They brought back a double ROI. And the master said, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with little. Let me entrust you with more. So anyway, I believe our role should not be as managers of our time. It should be stewards of our time. And that's a whole different shift. There is a weight of responsibility in that, like, wow, but it's different than I'm just trying to keep everything under control. The third shift is the question you ask around your time, because the most often asked question around time is, what time is it? And when you look at your watch or your phone or your computer or your wall clock and you go, what time is it? You're like, all of a sudden, like in like hurry, scurry mode. Oh my goodness, look at the time. I'm behind. I should have gotten this done. That took too long. Da, 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 right? So instead of asking the question, what time is it? I'm going to give you a different question that is it's almost so subtle, the difference. It's crazy how big of a difference it makes, right?
Okay.
So for what time is it to what is it time for?
Okay.
Like, almost the exact same words, but my shoulders just went down when I said that, because it presupposes two things. Number one, that you do have time. And number two, that there is a purpose for the time in front of you. And here's where we can eliminate what I think we, especially as women, think is our superpower. And that is multitasking. Multitasking is not your superpower. It is your kryptonite. It weakens you because your focus is now divided. It makes things take up to 50% longer and you make 40% more mistakes. So if you think you're saving time by multitasking, pay attention to how much it's really getting of you and what it's really taking to, do it well or do it right or redo it or whatever. So yeah, those are the three shifts that I teach. And that's even before you get into a calendar, right? Now you open up a calendar and I have a whole system of like, how do you take these bigger picture things and get it down into, and what am I doing today? I teach a time blocking method that answers the question, what is it time for, with spacious blocks, not like little tiny blocks on your calendar that make you feel like rush hour on the 405, and it's just this whole different way. And I put pauses in as well to like, think about your time. What was I treasuring with my time this week? What kind of results did I experience? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to trust, into somebody else's hands? What can I delegate? I mean, all kinds of things, right? Stopping about your time, because if you don't, you're going to just always be anxious and stressed out and feel like you're just never enough.
Yeah. And I love it. So the first thing I thought of when you said, what is it time for? I thought you just made it just shifted from being something you have to do to something you get to decide. And that's really that decision and knowing that like, oh, wait, maybe it's time for me to, I was just trying to sit in the sun for 10 minutes. I was freezing and I was trying to sit in the sun. It was shining in my bedroom window. So when I laid on my floor, I'm like, I just need to lay here for 10 minutes and warm up and be in the sun. It felt so good. It's been really cloudy in Indiana lately. And I laid there for 30 seconds before my dogs came and like sat on my head and attacked me. But I was like, I just need this time, which apparently I didn't. But just being able to decide, like I can take that 10 minutes to sit. I just need to sit here for 10 minutes and clear my head and get myself in a place. I was getting ready to come on and talk with you. And it ended up just being that, okay, pause. And that's such an important thing, that pause is so important. And whether we're talking about how you handle the anxiety in your body or in your mind or wherever it is, but knowing that pause gives you a place where you can say, what's next? As opposed to, oh no, now what?
So here's what I just heard you do, which I love, because I think this is going to resonate with your audience. Because as you and I were talking before we started, a lot of you who are listening are juggling multiple roles. You've got all these life roles, but then you also have some kind of a career or business or something else like over here that you're responsible for and wanting to be successful at, which, well, you should be. And that is the idea of work-life balance. Now, I hate the term because I think it just makes you go like,
so AI, isn't it? Like SEO
real?
heavy and AI. I hate it every time I say it.
Yeah. But I think it's because, again, English teacher coming out, we're looking at the wrong definition of balance. I think we're looking at balance as a noun, like the even Steven, like those old fashioned scales. If I put two things over here, I put two things over here, and then it's really balanced, right? So if I give 2 hours to work, I have to give 2 hours to, family. Or if I give then I have to do right? Like, and it's always this even Steven, which we know is not realistic. I teach that I believe every woman on the planet has 8 areas in her life: her faith, her family, her friendships, her business, service, work that she does, her resources, how she's stewarding her time, money, things like that, her wellness, her passions, and her dwelling. Let's be honest, no life wheel includes your home, and we give a lot of time and attention to the space around us and the people in it, right?
Yeah,
so I'm
like home cooking is the only thing on there. I'm like, cooking, like, yes, and
like
what about laundry? Right, yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, if you were to take 24 hours divided by 8, that would be 3 hours. Would your life be balanced if you gave 3 hours to your wellness, which includes your sleep and eating? You gave 3 hours to your work. You gave 3 hours to working on your home, 3 hours to being with friends every day. Like, that actually would not be a very balanced life. So balance is not a noun. Balance is a verb. And I want to use an illustration that I think really kind of nails this. And that is, look at a prima ballerina, right? Like, my daughter took ballet. I remember sitting through the Nutcracker with my sons who were like, do we really have to do this
again?
Mom?
Yeah.
Right. Again. And they weren't always so great at the younger ages, but you saw those girls up there that like, they had been putting some time into their dance, right? And you watch them. And if you look at them from the waist up, it looks like they have achieved that noun, that perfect spot that they are balanced. But if you look at her feet, you will notice that she is not standing still. She is constantly moving and making adjustments because she's paying attention to her body, such that she doesn't get so out of balance that she goes too far one way or the other or end up on the stage, which would be really embarrassing, but it happens. Okay, so this is the kind of balance we should be after. When we're talking work-life balance, it's not even Steven, it's paying attention to what needs your attention. Now, and again, this should not this doesn't mean like all my resources and attention go over here and then all my resources and attention go here, because again, you're now this like, it's going to cost you more time, money, stress, anxiety, but it's paying attention to, what does my family need right now to keep things balanced and upright and growing? What does my body need right now? What does my work need right now? What does my faith need? What do my relationships need? And it's always that checking in place. Now, sometimes there is some force that like literally comes and knocks you over. And yeah, so guess what? But you can get back up again and then pay attention to what you need to do. But I think so often we allow our focus to get so directed or distracted in one direction or the other. And then that's why we're on the ground. And so, yeah, this paying attention thing is really important. And so, yeah, taking 10 minutes to lay in front of the window because that's what you needed was amazing. Use the time, right? Because that's exactly what you needed. And even though it didn't last for a full 10 minutes, right? Like it's still like, okay, I can take this breath.
And that 10 minutes, just being able to take those little teeny hunks of time. I think sometimes we think, I just need a day. And I'm like, you might not. I mean, if you can swing a day, great. But for a lot of us, I mean, when you are doing all of those things and really trying to make your life happen the way it is, when you are doing those things, being able to take 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there makes it so much easier for when that thing does swoop in from the side. When you do get ready to leave for work and your car doesn't start and you're trying to figure out now what. But if you go back to that idea of what is it time for, it's time to fix your car.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of, oh gosh, it's 7:50. I have to be at work at 8. Yeah. I'm never going to make it.
Yeah. So yes, we want to have margin in. And I love that. Like, yes, you can take the 5 minutes, you can take the 10 minutes, but what if you had a plan for your week such that all these little things that matter have time and space. And so it wasn't always now I have to take 5 minutes because I'm drowning. It's, I've already got 5 minutes built in for this.
Yeah, this is when I do it.
An hour built in for this. And here, I want to show you an illustration because I've got this.
Please, yes. Do this.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to fully do this. So this is Skittles and oranges. Okay. Notice it's exactly to the lid here. Like, see, it's right at capacity. It's not over, but it's not under. Okay. So I do this illustration and this is this is how we live. So Skittles are all the random things in life, all the distractions, all the, I should do this, whatever. Okay.
Right.
So if I were to pour all this out, and put the Skittles in first, it would fill to about 2/3. And that is how most of us live our life. The Skittles fill our days and weeks. And then the oranges, which we know have way more nutrition, those are the things that matter. So when we start trying to put the oranges in, guess what? There's not room for them. Literally, you can I have 8 oranges in here for the 8 areas of our life. We can fit maybe like 3 or 4 before that starts going over the top. Okay. And we're like, there's just not time for it all. Not true. Because what I do is I pour this back out and then I put the oranges in first.
Yeah.
Every single one of those oranges goes in first, right? And then I take the same amount of Skittles and pour them in, and it just kind of fills in around and it perfectly fits. And I say this very simple thing: order determines capacity. So if you are stressed out right now that you're not ever having time for fill in the blank, okay, I want you to really stop and think about if that's an orange, am I putting that in first to my week? Which doesn't mean like everything happens on the same day or everything happens at the beginning, but like when I plan out my week, my oranges go in first, and then the Skittles can kind of fill in around that, right? But like, or am I just letting Skittles fill in and hoping I'm going to find time by the end of the week, sometime that maybe I can like get a bite out of this orange? Maybe some weeks you do, but probably most you don't. And no wonder you feel anxious around your time and that you're not getting stuff done or you're dropping balls because you're letting the Skittles come in first. So order determines capacity. You have to identify what matters, right? You have to then put those things in first. And then, yes, there are Skittles in life, and it is fun to binge sometimes on Netflix or TikTok or whatever your, thing is. That's okay. As long as it's in the right order, right? Because you've said this matters first. So
yeah, that is such a good thing. I love that. And I do think it's so, and we know what's important. And I think that it is when we get so distracted by everything else and even the things that we don't realize. And I love that you did go back to your phone, because so often it is the thing where I'm like, you guys, but the cell phone, like, I mean, especially talking about anxiety and talking about stress and things and how we use it. It's such cheap dopamine, right? Like it's great. Cheap dopamine, right? Like, I mean, it's really hard to be anxious when you're laughing at puppies and kittens and hilarious things all day, but it is sucking away all of our time, and it's keeping us feeling more anxious because we're not dealing with the things that are causing it, like the oranges, like the things that I just don't want to feel this really uncomfortable feeling in my body. I don't want to deal with this emotion or this situation. So we do find ways to get rid of it, and it can feel necessary.
Yeah. And here's where it's not going to look the same for everyone. Like, know that the season of fill in the blank, your career, the season of motherhood, the season of marriage, the season of friendship, the season of being a daughter with aging parents, like it's going to be different for everyone, and it's not going to stay the same. And that's why this work is so important, and why I teach people like every season. So whether it's because it's what the calendar says in the season or just a season of transition in your life, you should be coming back to these 8 areas. What needs attention? Where am I? Right? Like, and I'm going to give I put together a little gift for your audience. So I want to share that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, where am I in these areas? What needs my time and attention? And then how am I going to do that? What are the priorities, and how am I going to put those oranges in first? And it's going to look different than the person next door. And it might even look different than it did, 2 weeks ago, because, you're in a different season. So that's why this is the work that I think, until kingdom come, we have to keep doing, because again, time is going to be spent either way. And I would much rather be on the living by design train than living by default train and not liking where I ended up.
Absolutely. And I love this because it really offers the opportunity to be able to slow down. And this has been, I've talked about this so much on LinkedIn, which is where I've been spending most of my networking time lately. Just talking about November. My whole goal for November was to slow down. I have been 100 miles an hour since I was probably born, and really being intentional. And I'm just going to let everybody know that as much as you want it, it's hard. And slowing down can make you feel anxious. It can make you feel frazzled. It can make you feel like you're not doing things, that you're failing, that you're quitting. None of those things are true. And I've gone through all of that in the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks now, of really being intentional, but it's starting to feel normal. And it's starting to be like, oh, that's not actually necessary. And I'm getting more done and with less stress. So if you noticed your body felt anxious and tense when you heard deciding about your time and not doing all the things, that's okay. That's normal. It's normal for your body to feel that way. And it's also normal to think that it's very counterintuitive is what I'm trying to say here. So if you notice you feel anxious about it, yeah, it's going to feel weird for a little bit, but weird is good because what you're currently feeling when you're rushing, when you're doing everything at once, that's not comfortable either. You're just used to it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to flip the switch to like, okay, we're going to get uncomfortable for a minute. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. That's where growth happens. That's really where the growth happens. But you have to be willing to sit in that, I'm missing something.
To notice
Right.
it's not comfortable. I think God designed us to like have these emotions, to have these physical reactions, to get our attention, to be like, stop the phone,
Right.
like let's hold the phone. Let's stop and look at where is this coming from? What is this telling me? And what am I going to choose to do in response to this? You could be like me and ignore it, but it didn't go away and it only got worse. And
So, and then you end up with the phantom lump in your throat or whatever, hystericus globulus. Yeah. So all of those things, when they come back to that, really, it does come back to if you are constantly avoiding your emotions, if you are avoiding how you feel because you have a pattern of behavior, you have to stop. We just have to get to like, okay, what's making you go this direction so often? But I love the idea. I love that you did Skittles and oranges. And I think that's such a fun analogy for it and to do that. So tell us more about where we can find you and who you work with, things like that.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, you can be listening to this and like, okay, that sounds great, Megan, Melissa. Like, I would love to do that, but like, give me some rails to run on. And that's where I like really love to come in and say, let me show you how. I'm going to help you think differently. I'm going to help you turn time management on its head or throw it out the window. We're going to like approach our time differently, and believing we have time and the fact that our role is a steward and asking the question, what is it time for? But then you need some rails to run on, right? So a couple of different ways that we can do that. Number one, I too have a podcast. It's called Redeem Her Time. So if you like listening to Megan, put this in your library and you can take me with, when you're driving or washing the, dishes or whatever, because we're going to think differently about your time, right? And how it relates in life and business and all these different areas that we talked about today. So that could be a great place to go. I also have the Redeem Her Time Planner. That is a way to make time tangible. Because like I was saying, with your phone, when you are like, I got Google and we're just scrolling through that Google Calendar, you cannot feel how your time is flowing. You can't really sense like where I'm needing some more space and margin and where things are stacking up. It's just one long to do after the next. There is actually science that when you are writing things with your own hand, it connects your hand to your head, to your heart. And
this is a teacher trick, you guys. Like, we're not making this stuff up.
Trick, right?
When you take notes, you use colorful pens, you draw pictures, and you write it with your hands.
Right. There is a huge difference. And I watch my daughter who is like grown up in a much more digital age. And I watch her in college and everything is on her laptop. And yeah, there's a difference, right? There is a difference. And so in the planner, the whole first section is shifting how you think about your time and how you approach it. And then we get into me teaching you, how do you plan out your season? How do you plan out your months? How do you plan out your weeks? And then how do you do the pauses to think about your time? So the planner actually comes with a free digital course that's worth like $9.97. So it's like the deal of the century because I'm like, I need to get this in people's hands, but I also needed to like be like, and this is how it's different than the planner you pick up at Target, which I have plenty of those. I've been a planner girl for my whole life. I told someone the other day, this is the planner I always wish I had because number one, it's got all the like physical features that I wish I would have had and the quality, but then it's really getting to the heart of the problem behind our time and our busyness and things like that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to redeemhertime.com. You'll find out stuff about that. But here's what I have for your audience. It's a little free, little sneak peek of what's in here. It's called the balance assessment. It's a wheel that has those 8 areas and it walks you through a very simple process of assessing where you are in each area. And I also included a coaching video because I want you to hear my voice saying, no shame, no judgment, no stories. Where you are is just where you are. It's the consequence of how you've approached time in that area up till now, which is actually really good news because that means if you want this area to grow or be more balanced, it will be the result of how you choose to invest time in that area moving forward. So we're just going to pay attention to what needs your time and attention. And then from there, right, like I hope that you lean into the planner and some of the other resources to help you like start like living that out. So if you want that balance assessment, go to redeemhertime.com/assessment, or it is at the very top of just Redeem Her Time. Click on the balance assessment, little button at the top. And yeah, push pause on busy, push pause on stress and anxiety and overwhelm, no matter what time of year it is. And think about your time, where it's going, what results it's producing, and then go, okay, and is this really what I want? And if not, then here's some tools to help you move in that direction.
Amazing. I will have all of those links in the show notes too, so that everybody can just click and grab. That is so generous. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's like, teacher in me is like, we got to give some homework. You know, you can have ideas, but until you actually see in front of you, like, oh, wow, this is what my life looks like right now. I'm a little out of balance.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to take that next step and know what to do. So.
Yeah. But especially when we're thinking about this, I mean, this season where we want to be able to do the fun things, right? And if you're always scrambling, how are you going to feel after the holidays? I think it's always good to think of like, how do you want to feel?
And one of the areas is passions, which is fun. And actually it's really interesting because I find that is often the lowest area that women rate themselves on, because who has time for fun when there are things to do and you have responsibility?
Yeah.
And all,
which is exactly why people will say, oh, I don't really know what my passions are.
Right. Because our kids grow up.
Figure that out. That's important. That's the good stuff. I mean, that's why we're here, isn't it? Like if you don't know your passions, you don't know who you're supposed to help or what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Or just enjoy life, right? Adventures and like try hobbies and grow yourself. And
like rowing across the ocean. What the heck? I got to hear more about that. That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been so good. This is great stuff. And I feel like this is just something that if you are someone who is just like everything is so much all the time, you guys, this is the episode you needed. And look, it fell right in your lap. That's
right. And what perfect time if you're listening to this right at the beginning of a new year. But here's what I did. Here's the other thing. This planner is intentionally undated. So if you happen to come across this episode and it's June, you have not missed anything. You are not behind. You're not going to like be like, oh shoot, half the planner's already gone. Why bother? I'll just keep doing my same old thing and wait till next year. Like, no, today is the day to start redeeming your time. So I just want to encourage you that it doesn't have to be a beginning of the year thing. This is like any time of day. Even if you start this and then like you get distracted and it goes and sits on a shelf for a while, like pick it back up. It doesn't matter what the calendar says. I'm starting back on it. And, you know, so I want people to live not by a calendar, right? So
that's so good because they do. I hate it when you get a calendar and you're like, but I want it to start on the day it starts and then I don't, you know, so that is so good. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the More Than Anxiety podcast. Before you go, be sure to subscribe and leave a review so others can easily find this resource as well. And of course, if you're ready to feel calm, to stop overthinking and have a lot more fun, you can go to the show notes, click the link, and talk to me about coaching. I'll talk to you soon.